Marginalized people need to stop being so nice, being so accepting.
What's good, you guys, and welcome again on another episode. If you are joining for the very first time, you're very much welcome on this channel. The Russian-Ukraine war is still something that is going on, and you guys know that when all of this started, people left both countries to seek for a safe place to stay. And there are countries opening up to receive them and help them just find a safe place to stay to get away from the conflict that is going on. One of these countries that was ready to accept these people was Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka accepted both Russians and Ukrainians like with open hands and even gave them visas to stay as long as they want to, just for them to be safe. Everything went downhill, and Sri Lanka is about to send them out of their country when they started to have a white only party, white only bar. Like, how are they allowing you guys in and you're trying to segregate yourself from other people, from the locals in that country? The headline went pretty viral, and people are just shocked at the fact that these people don't even know when to act. Every single place they go, they just want to take over the place and make it their own place. So without wasting much time, let's just get right into what the people are saying about the Russians that are organizing a white-only party in Sri Lanka. And there are some people even saying they should not chase the Ukrainians out, that they are not the one organizing this party, because Sri Lanka is ready to chase both Ukrainians and Russians out of their country because of that particular act. So without wasting much time, let's just get right into it.
Been criticised by locals for allegedly setting up whites-only bars.
So you mean to tell me that a bunch of these people escaped their war-torn country to seek refuge in a different country, and the first thing that they figured out was how to segregate themselves from the locals? It just seems like it's such a natural, ingrained, evolutionary state for them. Like, where does it actually come from? I'm just so curious.
I think the most insane thing you can do is flee to another country where the native population and overwhelming majority are dark-skinned people, and then throw white-only parties. These people fled to Sri Lanka seeking refuge and then decided to sprinkle a bit of apartheid. What on earth?
Imagine being a refugee, like you're escaping a literal war and still making time for racism. This is what I mean when I say marginalized people need to stop being so nice, being so accepting, because Sri Lanka accepted Russian refugees only for them to get there and make a white-only club or white-only party. What is wrong with you people?
It's only white people that do this kind of bullshit. You will never hear of black people going to another country and then trying to establish black only spaces. You will never see brown people go to another country and try to have brown only or Asian only or Arab only. There's never that mentality in other groups except for white people. You went to another country because you're fleeing from your own because there's a war, and then you decide that you're going to have white spaces in another country that does not belong to you, that you're seeking refuge in. Another country where you are a refugee and are there because of a tourist visa, because the government has graciously allowed you to be there because they know that you're running away from a war. And because of one stupid man's decision, hundreds and thousands of people's visas are going to be revoked. Because this man decided he wanted a whites-only space in Sri Lanka when he's Russian. White people honestly want everybody else to accommodate them anywhere they go in the world, and they believe they're entitled to that. And it honestly pisses me off because no other group in the world does that.
Okay, I think what's important to remember here is that oppression is a global project. For those who haven't seen my original video, I was talking about how Russians and Ukrainians are moving to Sri Lanka and setting up like white-only bars and parties. And this person's response is basically like to mind our business. And I've seen a lot of people say this about Palestine as well. Like when black people speak up about Palestine, other black people will be like, why can't we just stay in our own business? And before I continue, I'm going to recommend that you read Freedom is a Constant Struggle by Dr. Angela Davis. And also this book. It's titled How We Get Free, Black Feminism and the Combahee River Collective. And it's edited by Keonga Taylor. I think those books will give you great perspective on just how interconnected all of our struggles for freedom are across the world. Angela Davis's book will give you great perspective on the connections between the Black struggle for liberation and the Palestinian struggle for liberation, and how treatment of Palestinians by the IOF closely mirrors treatment of Black people by the police, by the governing bodies at large. Now, the reason why I talk about how we get free is because it mentions how the Combahee River Collective found it essential to create systems of solidarity between third world women, which is an outdated term, basically women of color now as we know it today. And this is all with the understanding that oppression does not happen in a vacuum. That's why we've been building connections between what the IOF is doing to Palestinians and how police departments in the US are being trained by the IOF, and that same technology is being applied to Black bodies to not only police Black bodies but also brutalize Black bodies. So when I call attention to what's happening in Sri Lanka, I'm not doing it so we can be in other people's business for no reason, but with the knowledge that oppression is a global project. If you go to the comment section of that same video, you'll see someone who's in Canada talking about how Russians and Ukrainians are moving to certain parts of Canada that are predominantly Black and mentioning how they're worse off there than in their war-torn country. Yeah, it's easy to say we should mind our business through all of this. The colonization of the African continent, for example, did not happen in a vacuum. It was part of a larger imperialist agenda where European countries were cutting up parts of the world and taking control of them. Jim Crow in the United States did not happen in a vacuum. Apartheid in South Africa did not happen in a vacuum. And once you start to notice the patterns of colonialism and oppressive control, you'll see just how interconnected all of our struggles are. That's why people have been urging you to pay attention to what's happening with the police in the United States, what's happening in Palestine, what's happening in Congo, what's happening in Sudan, what's happening in Haiti, what's happening all over the world, where systems of oppression are transforming themselves to keep hold of people like us. I completely understand that Black people in the United States have bigger fish to fry. Many people are just worried about living right now, just surviving, considering the cost of living, and I totally get it. But those of us who can't afford the mental space need to be aware and constantly vigilant about what's happening in other areas of the world, because it closely is mirroring what's happening here. It's not our business to speak over the people who live in those countries, but it is our business to pay attention.
But they've been criticised by locals for allegedly setting up whites-only bars.
A couple 100,000 Russians, Ukrainians escaped the war in Russia, which is nice. But they're just a bunch of racist pricks who decide, hey, this country that allowed us to escape the war, fuck them. We're not going to want to deal with anybody there and, segregate away from. So, unfortunately, they didn't get kicked out, which would have been nice. It's still developing. It's not earth-shattering news, but it's just crazy to see racist imperialism still in the modern day, which we all know is still the case. But anyway.
This is one of the reasons why some people will be like, you see, these palm-colored people, a lot of them just breathe, eat, and drink racism. Tell me how you are trying to have a life, living your own country, and the country is so open to receiving you guys and allowing you guys stay as long as you guys want to stay, but all you people want to do is to be freaking racist. Like, you people had the time to be creating a different space for you guys in another person's land. Like, it's not even funny. When you think about it, this is an old definition of them being ungrateful and literally slapping them back in the face that, yeah, we know you guys helped us, but what are you guys going to do about it? In the midst of the war that is still currently going on, these people are still having time, creating time to be racist. Isn't that very, very weird and crazy? Because when I saw the headline, I'm like, they want to chase them out of the country. What exactly is going on? To now seeing, I saw the invite, the picture of the invite I'll put on the screen for you guys. They literally said face white, which means that if you are coming there, if you want to enter into that bar, if you want to be at that party, your face has to be white. So they are only interested in getting white people in a place that is not for them, in a place that they are borrowing them. They are telling them now. You see the people who own this place, we don't want to have anything to do with you guys. We are on our own and we can take you people's space, because this is something that has been happening over time. These people love to go to other people's house and start acting like it's their own house. Like, why? Actually very crazy. Now the actions of, I can't believe it's all the Ukrainians and Russians in Sri Lanka that are like into this, but the actions of just these little people is going to be affecting the people who are actually happy to be there and finding a safe space there for the meantime. Like, how are they not even thinking out of the box that this might actually affect the people who really need the help to stay there? Because these people creating white party, it's like they have an alternative, so they are not putting into consideration the people that do not have alternative. These people's sense of entitlement is very, very crazy. Like, their sense of entitlement needs to be studied, because every single place they go, they always want to be like, oh, we are the former landlord and then we rented it out to you guys, we are back to take over, when it's not actually their land. Let me know what you guys think about the Russians creating this party, and do you think they should have pardoned the Ukrainians? Because the government said they are chasing both the Ukrainians and the Russians out of their country, since they are trying to segregate themselves from the locals and trying to create their own space. They are only trying to help. They didn't do anything bad. They are just so graceful to give them a space to stay, but now they are training back to their face. So let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. Let's continue this conversation there. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe before you go and turn your bell notification on, and I'll see you in the next one.